That's number one. You kind of reset your
painful, tender to the touch. May also
same shoulder length, and the other. All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Health Podcast with Brandy and Amir. I am Dr. Amir Rashidian, a chiropractor, and Brandy is probably the reason you all watch the show. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on another platform, she also has the better voice, not just the looks. And Real Health Podcast is where we bring to you news and information about health and wellness and summarize it, explain it to you, tell you what it means. And basically our focus, our purpose is that you'll feel better, get stronger, live longer, and feel younger. But today is just a little bit different because we have two special guests with us. And our guests are two gentlemen that I have great admiration for. I've said this before. You know someone's a good person when kids like them. Mm-hmm. And our boys love these guys, and so that's 100%. One of the reasons we wanted them here. But also, they're highly accomplished in their field. They've done amazing things. They've been able to stay healthy through it, and but everything has challenges. They've had challenges, so I want to talk about that with them a little bit. So we have Coach Ed Corporal and Tavares Sledge, a professional basketball player. And why don't we start out with Coach? Why don't you tell us just kind of background, what led you to where you are today, and what made the biggest difference to make you be who you are today?
Well, I think I was destined to be a coach, but I did not know I was going to be a coach. I grew up in basketball. I'm an NBA kid. Mm-hmm. So my brother played in the NBA for like 13 years.
Wow.
And I was an NBA ball boy and equipment manager.
Okay.
During that time when he was playing. So of course I played, from when I was really little. I really loved basketball. I loved sports this period. So I played baseball, basketball, football. I played everything, but my passion was basketball.
Right.
And so I was fortunate to be around the NBA, around all-time greats of, Dr. J,
wow.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
that's so cool.
Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, just to name a few, George Gervin, Iceman,
wow.
and just my favorite team was the Los Angeles Lakers during Showtime.
Okay.
So I used to sit on the bench on the visiting team. That's where I worked in their locker room.
Wow.
So actually, I at one time, at my point, I done it from like when I started like in junior high school all the way through high school, like my first year in college and stuff, working with the teams. And I really actually started really focusing on the X's and O's and how the organization was being ran, and just was very observant. Not knowing I was going to be a coach, but just, I thought it was going to help my game out.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So as time went on, I really started paying a lot of attention, what they were doing, like in huddles and during timeouts. My favorite coach was Pat Riley.
Okay.
I mean, I really took to him and he took to me, really kind of showing me the ropes and just, asking me questions. I would be in the locker room with him.
That's
great. While he was and I would just be observing him, watching him. And I've kind of like, when I started coaching, I was like, I used to always call myself the Black Pat Riley.
That's great.
Because I loved the way he dressed, the way he carried himself. He was so professional.
Absolutely.
He was GQ, everything. And
we see that in you now.
That's right.
We see that.
So I started really watching him, paying attention. He would ask me questions and stuff about what would you do? And, he was, and some of the players, the Lakers players would always they kind of adopted me. I was like their little brother a little bit.
Wow.
Because he used to always tell me, because I had this big old afro, and he used to always tell me, like, you look like one of the Jacksons. And they said they come to the games all the time and stuff like that. So I just started kind of just really, really paying attention to what they were actually doing. And then my mentor, Cotton Fitzsimmons, was the coach for the Kansas City Kings.
Yeah.
And he had me in practices, and he just had me doing things and maybe keeping score, maybe, participating, watching and helping in drills and things like that. And I really didn't even know. I just like being around, and he kind of just put me to work and started doing stuff. So as time went on, and once I got into coaching, my high school coach got me into really started actually coaching, school teams. And I just kind of like, he told me like, well, just try. I think you'd be really good at it. If you don't like doing it, just go back to just regular teaching. And I've been doing it ever since.
Wow.
And I really found like that was my passion. And it just one thing led to another. I I started really kind of thinking about like, wait, you know, this I was groomed. I was groomed.
Yeah.
Started reflecting a little bit. I was like, I was being groomed all this time.
Right.
Because I started reflecting on back things that were, just being around the pros and stuff and everything. And I actually never thought about being a pro coach. And it just kind of one thing kind of led to another.
Wow.
Because I was coached in college. I had coached high school for a long time. And then when the pro opportunity came about, I just it was just natural for me.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
And I think my biggest thing is my relationship with my players, because I'm a players coach, so, being a player myself, and then also I think really helped me being around the NBA.
Absolutely.
I saw, what NBA players go through as far as just like their lifestyle, the way they bring their, they approach their profession.
Right.
Their off the court life, on the court life,
Right.
all that, And so I can kind of relate to like my players now, what they go through.
Absolutely.
And I understand, So I try to help like, management, and I've been right there. I seen that part too, So I try to help, the avenue of trying to just be a liaison between the players and management, and
Nice.
just trying to make things work. And I think that's really helped me be successful in my career.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And if our audience doesn't know, which I'm pretty sure they all do, but just lists. I know you're the winningest coach in the TBL.
We'll let you brag a little bit.
Which is no small feat. I mean, just having a winning season is amazing in a competitive world, let alone being as accomplished as you are. Tell them some of the things you've accomplished like that.
Well, just in the professional, the TBL it's been in existence for 7 years. So I've been with the TBL since year one.
Nice.
So the very first year I was a assistant coach.
Okay.
So I actually became the all-time winners coach in 6 years.
Okay.
That's amazing.
And
That's
I've
great.
never had a losing season since I've been coaching.
Knock on wood. That's good.
I've had I think the most losses I had was like maybe 9 losses.
Wow.
And most majority of the time we never lost no more than really four games. So this year, I've won every season. I won over 20 games except for 1 year.
Okay.
And in 2021, I was the coach of the year, and then also we won the TBL national championship in Oklahoma, Enid, Oklahoma.
That's awesome.
We finished with the best record ever as far as like overall.
Yeah.
I mean, this season was kind of beat a little bit. They kind of caught up with us in Potawatomi. They had a perfect season, but overall we won more games than they did.
Right.
So we finished 30-3.
Wow.
It's amazing.
So we finished 22-2 in the regular season game. In regular season, we lost one playoff game.
Wow.
And we finished 30-3. And
That's
that was really
amazing.
the best record up until this year.
Okay.
Wow.
That was also the hardest year of
It was
the TBL too.
Exactly. Hardest year because
This year?
No, that year.
Oh, that year.
21
Okay.
because it was during COVID, after COVID.
Right.
And so the overseas people were all in our league. So no one could go overseas, and all the G League
Wow.
people.
So competition was
high.
fierce.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the NBA teams didn't have all their G League teams. So we had all the best of the best players that year because they couldn't go overseas and they couldn't play in the G League.
Yeah.
So they had to play with us.
Right.
That in our league. So every night, day in and day out, we had the best players going against the best players.
Wow.
So I always tell like some of my colleagues, they're coaches in the TBL. Like my championship is legit.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's legit because we played against some really good teams, good players, and we really earned that. And also we put a couple players in the NBA from that team too.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's in the NBA. So
That's great.
that was probably and I'm like the only coach in the league that has put players actually that's in the NBA that are on an NBA roster.
Wow,
that's amazing.
Very cool. Hopefully there'll be more than that.
And one of the first that one of the coaches to put a player in the NBA as far as like the G League, getting moved up from the TBL.
I see.
That played with us this year.
Wow.
Kevin Young.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, T, background, accomplishments, help them get to know you. They've probably watched you play.
Mine's pretty short. Background, I really didn't start actually playing basketball until the 8th grade.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I played outside around town.
How tall were you in 8th grade?
I was about 6'5", 6'6". But I started dunking in 8th grade though, so it was kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Actually, like I'm one of the first players like from my city, like my whole area. Like in 8th grade, I played on the high school varsity team.
Wow.
And I actually played.
Wow.
Yeah, so like I finished my middle school season, and like so the high school season was still going, and so like I would wear the high school jumpsuits like throughout the day, because they wore the jumpsuits at the school. So like my whole middle school was like in disbelief, I was too. So kind of where I fell in love. But I never even actually went to the high school. That high school, I moved.
Oh really?
I moved from Mobile to Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
And sat out my 9th grade year because of the move.
Oh.
And played through 10th through 12th grade. I led my school, and I'm still the all-time leading scorer at my high school.
Congrats.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. First one to go to college out of my family, so like
Nice.
basketball was taking me a pretty good route. I've been around the world now.
Right.
7 years pro. I actually went overseas before I came to the TBL. I went to Chile first and won a championship there.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, 2016. And then I came home and I tried out for the G League team, a G League team in Atlanta. Kind of made the team, but at the same time I did it. So the contract was going through, and then it got canceled, and then that's when I heard about the TBL, and I was living in St. Louis, and there was a team in Kansas City, and went and tried out, made it the first day. The rest has been history. Me and Coach been together for 7 years.
Wow.
Ever since day one with the TBL, I'm the all-time winningest player.
That's awesome.
Probably the all-time leading scorer in the TBL as well.
Right.
But I know the first year I led the TBL in scoring and rebounding.
Wow. I was gonna say you lead in rebounding too.
My whole career, I've led it. So yeah, it's been a nice road. I don't know how I stayed so healthy. I just thank God that I still am.
Amen.
I've never had a major injury, but
Nice.
I've been blessed to continue to do what I love to do.
Yeah. Wait, we gotta be doing something.
And I'm loving it here, so
Awesome.
Yeah.
Frederick's a good town.
Yeah,
It is.
it's
It's
an
nice.
amazing place.
Yeah.
True community.
Right.
So,
It is.
because
That it is.
I saw what you guys had as a poll at your games first year. Unbelievable compared to what I saw on camera, because we would watch you guys when you're at your away games.
Right.
And I was blown away at
We have
how,
way more fans and better
Oh.
fans than any team out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I'll
So
be honest, like game one was great, like crowd wise.
yeah.
But we also ended the same way we started.
Yeah.
So like
Oh yeah.
think about it. You know what I mean?
That's true.
That was you can't ask for more from the
Yeah.
community, honestly.
That was a nice, loud.
And I knew it was gonna be like that when I got here. You know,
Okay.
from being in the league for a long time, I just knew this was a special place.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
said
it
that,
feels
I said
like
that in a press
Kansas.
conference. Well, yeah, it's from Kansas,
And
just
I
like
lived there, too.
Kansas.
That's
Just
right.
like
I used to
Kansas,
live there
like
too, so that's home.
yeah.
So
Home
it's
number
one
two.
it's
That
one of the
Midwest
reasons.
flavor, that Midwest flavor.
That's right. It's one of the reasons I love these guys so much. We have such a large Kansas contingent. And of course, I'm from Kansas. So whenever I see these guys, I think my accent actually comes out a little bit too. I go a little bit country. So, which is totally
Two of my
natural.
half brothers married someone from Kansas.
Oh, really?
And
Wow.
so I don't have a relationship with them because they're way old. My youngest half brother is 18 years older than me. So then my oldest half brother is, I don't know, 27 years older than me. So
Right.
I don't really know them very well. But then when
we
I
were dating.
introduced Brandy to my dad, he said, "Oh, you know, two of your brothers married people from Kansas." And she goes, "What town?" And they said,
Yeah.
Hutchinson, Kansas.
said Hutchinson,
And she,
really?
she's
And I
from
was
there.
like,
Wow.
So it's like all three brothers, not knowing it, we all married from Hutchinson, Kansas. So,
Wow.
I'm
so
like,
I-
we got some
Wow.
good wives coming out of Hutchinson, Kansas. For you all looking out there, looking to hook up your sons who aren't married yet. I'm telling you, there's some good ladies there.
was there someone in your life that like helped you out at some point? That I know Coach has been the biggest instrumental, influential factor in you. Was there anybody else that like showed up at a moment? Like, I was looking at Dennis Rodman. He was homeless for 2 years, and he had a friend. His friend invited him to his house for dinner, and actually his friend's mom fainted when she saw him because he was so big. so then he had to beg them to let him spend the night because he was homeless. And then so after the next day he left, and then that family asked him to come live with them. And but then you look at everybody who's accomplished amazing things. There's always been this other person somewhere along the way that's made a difference in their lives. You guys have someone like that?
I have. I mean,
Yeah.
even in high school. So like when I left Mobile, I actually moved in with like a family member, but like down the line family member. His name is Dad Fitzpatrick. Yeah, he took me in, and basically he helped groom a lot of who I am today, because
Wow.
I was in a mix of, just a lot of country things, and yeah, he helped groom a man, and
Amazing.
so yeah, he came at a time of need in my life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so he helped me a lot, kind of like how I look up to
Yeah.
Coach now, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like he came at that time, and Coach is here now, so it's like,
That's very cool.
yeah, but yeah, that was a time in life where.
I was chatting with my dad. My dad passed away in 2011, and he was 88 when he passed away. He was 51 when he had me, so he already considered himself old, because this is 50 years ago. So today he'd be 101. But he always wanted to give advice and so on. He was wise. But anyways, we were working on opening our office back in 2006, and we were pulling all-nighters, working really hard, because I had another office. I was working there all day. Through the night we were working, and then we were out hitting the streets on weekends and everything. And he said, "You're working so hard. Aren't you worried about sacrificing your health for your career?" And I said, "Of course, health is important. You don't want to sacrifice your health for your career. But health is worthless if it comes at the expense of my goals, my dreams, my aspirations. The only reason I'm healthy is so I can do the things I love doing." And that was my answer, but what use is it? I could be
Right.
healthy and have nothing to show for it and do nothing that I love, but I'm healthy. What's the point? Or I go for it, and there's going to be times where like health might suffer a little bit, but you make up for it as long as you're doing something right. So what would be, Coach, what would be your advice on someone who's burning the candle at both ends and practicing extra hard? We've got kids who are, want to be pros someday, who are practicing really, really hard, and they're still doing schoolwork. I mean, I can't imagine a college student being in a sport. I don't think most people understand how much work goes into that. It is no joke. I mean, that's why some people say that your sport should be your major, because you're putting all these hours into it as it is, but then you're also expected to do classwork, get the grades, graduate. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know,
health-wise?
I kind of have experienced that.
Yeah.
You know, not only as as an athlete, but just as a coach. You know, because you know my health did kind of suffer because of my setback. You know, having two massive strokes and stuff and everything. But the thing that kept me going was my work, was my passion to coach, and that got me through the stroke because you know of course I had health issues, and I was kind of put on the sideline, but that drove me, and this is the reason why after the stroke I became all-time winningest coach because of my drive.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's what it's the health suffered a little bit, but it gave me something to work towards. So
Because where would you have been if you didn't have that
yeah
to shoot for?
Yeah.
You may not have had the recovery that you had for sure.
Yeah, and it also opened up a lot of other doors or avenues because it gave me a platform because now people gonna listen to me
Right.
because you've been through this stuff.
That's right.
Health wise,
That's
and so
right.
now you've been when I tell people like don't sweat the small things, and you have to be driven. You can't like when I go back to the hospital where I was at in Lawrence, Kansas, and I'm a life coach, and I go to that floor where I was at on that stroke floor, and I talk to other stroke patients
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
about making how you can make it.
Yeah.
To get back to whatever your passion is.
Right.
And I've had like professors, artists, people, or, in the arts, all types of lives, politicians, people who worked at the university, even at the hospitals, and just like some students that were, they were like really young, because people think like, strokes, for old people. And so like then it's not, but I never knew that until I had one. But
Right.
but that was what helped me as far as like the health, helped me drive a little bit to get better because I wanted to enjoy what I wanted to do because my biggest thing was like I gotta get back to the bench because
Yeah.
this is what I love to do,
Right.
and that's what helped drive me. So as far as like with student athletes, you see, so I help out at University of Kansas for a really long time. So I tell guys when they first come to, the university, that it's like, this is your job.
Yeah.
I mean, because, you're going to go to class and stuff and everything, but it's like, you ain't like you just have a lot of free time, and you have time management. So, but also like, you got to study, you got to go training, lift weights, you got to go to study hall, and that doesn't even include practice,
Right.
So and nowadays, like I work with the basketball team, they go to school all year round, and they practice all year round now. It used to be just basketball season from November or October to March or whatever, but now it's all year round.
Oh,
so
wow.
they get off in April, in May, they get to go home for a little bit, and then they're back in June.
Right back to summer.
Wow.
And then they still start all over summer school,
Wow.
workouts, everything. They do it just like it during the regular season. It's weights, all that stuff.
So what's your advice, like besides just staying focused mentally, keeping your emotions in check? What are like top 3 things you say you got to do to stay healthy so you don't affect your health in a high stress situation like that?
I think, of course, it's a mental thing. So you have to be really mentally stable. You got to be focused on what you're supposed to do. Time management. Managing your time well, so you don't be stressed.
Yeah.
And then also,
How much sleep do these guys get?
well, if they take care of what they're supposed to do, not do other junk, they get the rest. That's why the time management comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's very important. How you use your time.
Yeah.
And then also eating right, and also make sure you're just staying in shape. Taking care of your body. That's the main things, and that kind of can help you, get through things, because I think the biggest thing is like managing your time, because you are very, very busy, and you have to stay focused. You have to focus on certain things. What's the most important thing? Because you're in school. Your most important thing, you're in school to get your education and to play. That's what your time is.
Mhm.
You didn't come to school to party and all that stuff. And there'll be time to have that time,
Right.
but you gotta use it wisely. And I think that's the biggest thing that, like, especially kids coming from, like, because it's a big jump coming from high school to
Oh, it's
to
huge.
college.
I
yeah.
can
But you know
imagine.
what? I think it's actually wise for that transition to happen then, because the reality, and we all know that once you get out of school, it doesn't get any easier. Your responsibilities don't get less. Your time isn't greater, right? So if you figure those things out while you're in college and you're able to take your game further and go pro, you already have that foundation set up to really be able
Yeah,
to succeed at a high level.
why I think college athletes end up being successful in business and
Ah.
in their
Yeah,
careers
well,
and
it
everything else.
stretches
They
you
have the work
beyond
ethic.
anything else.
Yeah. So what's your advice to give like health advice to high school, college, and pro? But when it comes to pro, it doesn't have to be a professional athlete. Everybody's a pro at something. So like, what keeps you healthy all these years and everything you've accomplished?
Honestly, everything Coach said, man, it's time management. Just make sure you're eating right. Taking care of your body is deeper than just working out. It's getting your rest, actually going to sleep. So for the athletes, like especially going to college, it's not that it's hard having so much to do. It's sacrificing the other stuff that's around it that makes it hard. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because
Yeah.
coming from an athlete, I went to school for 4 years, so it's not that it's hard. It's just sacrificing that little free
Right.
time, that window that you do have, instead of going to hang out with those that aren't athletes. You know what I
Right.
mean? That don't have to do what you have
Right.
to do. That's the hard part, and so like mentally, you just have to be prepared for it. Even in high school, if you actually want to be the athlete you want to be, or a professional one day in that sport, like, you got to start even before high school to understand, just time management, even having the right mental of preparing yourself for not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Just going to school to go to school,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to actually be the best athlete. And it's hard to separate that from from actually being human. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
because you wanna do those things so bad,
course.
and you forget, like, it's hard to remember, like, why you're doing what you want to do.
To keep that dream front
Yeah.
and center,
Yeah.
even when all your buddies are,
Living
hanging
it.
out, going to the lake, drinking a beer or something like that, you have to stay
I wonder
and
if
do
they-
100 free
No,
throws.
for
You know
real.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, that's
seriously.
hard.
You know,
No, it's so hard.
the teams have, obviously a head coach, assistant coach. They have the athletic trainer. They have the I don't know, physician, team physician,
Yeah,
everybody else.
team physician.
But maybe there needs to be someone like
Mentor.
a wellness mentor.
Yeah.
Because this is the way I put it. I say, imagine you have 3 coins. Every coin has 2 sides, right? Heads and tails. So one coin is called psycho-emotional, mental, emotional, right? 2 sides to the coin. You want to be healthy. One side of that coin is constantly feed your mind positivity, right? What's the other side of it? Try to avoid some of the negativity, right? So for example, if you're going to watch the news is packed full of negativity. Do it in the morning, because cortisol levels are already high in your body. So if cortisol is going to go up by watching bad news or something that bothers you or upsets you, scares you, do it in the morning. So at the end of the day, when you're going to sleep, if you want to get proper sleep, cortisol has to be at its lowest level. someone needs to be working with them. Say, hey, 1 hour before sleep, if you do these things, like we say, dim the lights, make the room really cold. Just do those 2 things and reduce screen time. You'll sleep a lot better. Just real simple things, and you get more out of your sleep. You're more rested in the morning. So anyways, the other coin would be physical, right? Physical means training, right? But if you don't balance training with the other side of the coin, which is rest, you're not going to work right. Because training requires you to tear down muscles and stress the joints. So when do we recover? Is when we sleep. We don't get stronger when we're training. We get stronger when we rest, right? I have this saying, I always go, I grow when I'm resting. But I feel like that applies to a lot of things in life. They talk about people want to learn the piano. They practice, and they can't get it right. They're like, okay, go to sleep right afterwards. They wake up, they can play it better because their mind keeps working on that.
Yeah.
So, and then the third coin is chemical or biochemical, right? So what are the 2 sides? One is you got to feed the deficiencies. Are there vitamins you're deficient in? Find out, feed those. Nutrients you need, micronutrients, right? What are your macros? The other side of that is toxicity, right? You got to eliminate toxins. So are we putting things on our body that have toxicity in them? Are we using probably, we've talked about that on the podcast.
It freaks me out.
Tons of times of how much toxins there are in the body, you know, from what we're exposed to environmentally, to what we put on our mouths, to what we put on our skins. And so you just look at those 3 coins, it can be huge as to, and I always say you can't make huge changes, but if you take those 3 coins, address both sides by a little bit, you get massive results.
Yeah.
But if you only do one of them, let's say you train really, really hard, but you don't address the other coins, your results aren't going to be all that great.
Yeah.
And I think like now, I know at the University of Kansas, they have like a wellness coach and a person that they can go to for mental and
That's
just
awesome.
the overall wellness. So it's like when you come to Kansas, and I remember Kevin saying something when he first got to Kansas was like, he really realized when he went to Kansas and when something happened to him, he said, I realized this was different. This was a different type of university, you know. And I think like the especially the major universities, they have like, and even like pro now, they have like addressed that and some like the major sports, like in the, you know, the USA gymnastics, when Simone Biles was talking about the mental aspect and stuff and everything. And but I do know like at University of Kansas, they overall do the overall. I do know the players and just the athletes there. It's not just athletes. It's the overall person they're trying to take care of. It's not just I'm coaching you to be a great player, but just the overall person they're trying to take care of.
Well, John Wooden, right?
Yeah,
he said, I'm not building basketball players, I'm making men.
Really?
I'm turning these guys into men.
And that's how I try to approach my guys,
too,
you know. It's just not, you know, because I know sometimes they get tired of hearing me talk sometimes, but like I'm like preaching the truth to them, you know. It's like, you know, I'm trying, because I always tell them like, you know, I love you guys, it's like y'all my sons or nephews or whatever, but my thing is like, I want you to be, when you leave me, I want you, because you're here for a reason.
Right.
Otherwise, you'd be in the NBA or something like that.
Right.
But you're here for a reason. And you might be lacking something where it may be not just X's and O's or basketball skills, but, you know, attitude, social skills, you know.
There's so much that goes
into
it.
It's a lot of stuff, you know, being mentally tough and everything like that. So I try to work with them, and I want them to be good people.
Right.
You know, and when you leave here, you know, I want you to be a good brother, a good father, a good husband, you know, whatever it may be. You know, I want you as not just a basketball person when you leave here, but better in basketball, but be better
human being.
Better human being.
Yeah. And
I think like I think I've accomplished that. And just watching, I've watched him grow. Like from when he first.
I wish we had a slideshow.
23-year-old.
Not really. Slideshow.
We were just talking this morning. He said, Coach, we've been through some stuff. I was like, yeah, good and bad, you know. And you know,
tell us one of those.
good and bad. And
what's one of the stuff?
You know, just the stuff that we went through as just being like as far as like going through our journey as you know, player and coach, you know, with the team, but also our relationship,
right?
You know,
Well,
I know where you going with this one.
Does he
Go
use
ahead. Let it out.
confrontation with you? Is he pretty direct with you? Does he just come up and be
Yeah,
like,
he's
T?
always been. That's what he's probably finna get into that
I
story now.
wasn't thinking about that.
Isn't it nice though?
No, it is.
I'll tell you.
Well, I
a
wanna
lot
hear
of
the
people
story.
a lot of people don't like direct communication,
That was me.
but you know where you stand always, right? How uncomfortable is it now where you're around somebody, you're like, ooh, I don't know where I stand. That's not nearly as comfortable as like being outright. So I appreciate that about you. I'm like that too. So
I mean, we
it's needed though.
Yeah.
You know, it is.
For sure.
It's very
But
needed.
the thing is, like, because I cared.
yeah.
You know, I cared.
Yeah.
And I had to call him up on, you know, and like now, I mean, I can tell him something, he accepts it and he listens to it. But like, there was a time, because sometimes I had to tell him like when we're having issues with players and stuff, I said, you know, remember, it used to be just like that. You know, it used to be just like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I said, you come a long way. Because it used to be a time like, you know, he didn't want to listen to nothing. He was hard-headed.
What?
And, you know,
Slightly.
he was really hard-headed. And he didn't want to listen sometimes. So I had to like let him know, like, hey, look, hey, either it's gonna be my way, it's gonna be the highway. And like, and I'm not gonna put up with it. So like, I remember one time we were having like a meeting, like one-on-one meetings, and I just told him, I said, don't have me come across and jump across this table and get you. And I was ready to, you know, if I had to fight, I was gonna fight. I don't fight fair.
That's the way it was.
You said you don't fight fair?
I don't fight
No,
fair.
me either. I'm an ear biter. I'll bite your ear off for sure.
I don't fight fair. But we, you know, we had that respect. But it came a long way. I mean, it's never like we never dislike each other or something like that. But it's just like he grew as a person, you know, and I grew as a coach too, you know. But,
well, you know, we talked about how like we lecture at our kids a lot, and when they surveyed kids, they didn't remember a single word that parents said. So I think every kid needs that additional person, like a great coach, to talk in their ear also.
That's kind of what I was saying. I feel is needed like throughout high school, college. You know, not necessarily professionals. At that point, you're supposed to be a professional. But like, you know, grooming those from college, you know, to the professional world. Yeah, they do need the responsibility of learning how to do it themselves, like how to manage their own time and everything. But it should be someone that's there, if it's not the coach, just a mentor, you know, making sure that they're guided the right way of, you know, knowing not to do this and to do that, because like I said, it could be very easy for them to be misled to do the right thing. A lot of kids never had that, you know, guidance or, you know, and I feel it's needed, you know, it'll help more athletes throughout their career.
I wonder how many talented kids are out there who don't get the right advice and never end up reaching their potential.
yeah, it's a lot of them.
They can't accept the coaching and they respond back because they're used to that environment of just, you know, retaliation.
Yeah.
You know, nah, you're not gonna tell me what to do or when to do it, and you know, they just don't know any better. You know, they didn't have that guidance, and it could be those who have the guidance, but now they're under somebody else's authority or control or whatever, and now, you know, just say your kids or whatever, you know, they could be the best ever at home or with this group, and then they move on, and now they just act differently. You know what I mean? And no one's there to tell them, like, you know, you know you're doing wrong, or you know the right thing to do.
Right.
So I feel like that's needed.
You know, they used to say, there used to be the old adage that it took a village, right? Because I was raised in a time where it didn't matter where you were in town. If you were acting out, right? You got called out. They're like, do you want your grandma to see you doing that? You know what I mean? We had a huge family, so I couldn't go anywhere without being seen. But we got called out on the carpet all the time. It didn't matter who it was. But we don't do that in this culture anymore. People are afraid to say anything now. Most people. I still say things. I'm like, I saw a kid climbing up, we were on a cruise, and they were climbing up on the railing, and I was like, where are their parents? And I'm like, you need to get down. And they look at me and they're like, you are not my mom. I'm like, I don't care. You get down, because that's not happening on my watch. And don't talk to me that way, because I'm an adult. Right? Like, I will do that. I do that all the time. My kids are always so embarrassed because I'll be parenting other people's kids. I'm like, you are not doing that in
It's
here.
the right thing to do.
Right? But we have to do that as a culture. I'm not being mean or rude, but I'm like calling them out because they need to know that. Because if somebody else isn't going to do it, somebody
at the
needs to.
same time, when she sees a kid do something nice, she points that
Oh,
out
yeah,
too. She'll be
100%.
like, "Hey, that was real nice. Good
Yeah.
job." And hey, we'll tell our sons, you can learn from that.
Yeah.
So
No, for real.
Yeah, for sure. But you got to stay on them. They don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right.
I think that's super important. We all need to do that more.
So what I want to know is, getting to the levels you guys are at, what % of it is inborn talent, and what % of it is brute hard work? Like, is it 50-50? You got to have 50% talent, and then 50% of it is from hard work, develop that talent? Or is it 90% talent or 90% hard work?
Me speaking from experience, I don't think it's a right percentage on either or, because I've seen guys who just naturally talented and that didn't work hard that actually are like the best. And I've seen guys that work extremely hard and really aren't even that talented, you know what I mean? Like, aren't that good. But I've also seen those work hard and it pay off at the end, because like you could tell, you see the work that they put in.
Yeah.
That's what made them, like LeBron had to put in work, Kobe, all these guys put in work, I mean.
Yeah.
But there's guys in the league that also didn't put in any work. They just got great talent, or
Right.
the right opportunity, the right place at the right time, so it's really, I don't think it's a
The jury's out on that.
Yeah.
Because you got exceptions
my
on the
personal
other side.
experience,
I understand. Well, what would you say about you? What's yours? Where you are today, how much of it you think was talent that you just naturally had? How much it was you had to work for?
It's honestly a mix of both.
Okay.
It started probably just natural, and then I went through a phase in life where I was going through so much, I put in a lot of work, and it helped develop my game even more. So like it was a lot of both.
Nice.
A lot of both. But it kind of started like just natural talent though.
Right.
And then it was a time in my life where I put in some serious work, day in, day out, like just wake up, all basketball, all training. And then I went on a phase of not doing anything at all, and I'm just relying on my talent.
Who do you want to play with? Do you want to play with that person who just has natural talent but is not a hard worker? Or would you rather?
I'd rather somebody who's working hard.
I'm with you.
No, 100%. And now I know it takes. I mean, I know it takes work, whether you're good or not.
You're never going to be worse off by working hard with
all.
or without the talent, right?
Not even for the sport, just for your health, just longevity in life. It builds character outside of even the health. I mean, like if a person is working hard or working out all the time, it speaks on their character outside of the way they just carry themselves at the store or at their job, or just the way they treat their daily habits. You know what I mean? That's discipline. And with working out, and it comes good health. So,
Absolutely.
builds responsibility. Character.
I was reading the story of Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan played, I think he was defensive end for the Giants, won a couple Super Bowls.
Yep.
And but so he was a junior in high school in Germany. Parents were military. I think Dad was military, so they were living in Germany. Dad said, "You're never going to go to college because I don't have money, but you can go to Texas, stay with your uncle, play football, get a scholarship." He's already a junior. He's never played football. So he starts working out. He goes to Texas, plays 1 year of high school football, gets a scholarship, and then NFL, and now he's on TV everywhere. And I always wonder, was it all that? Because he did work hard. I mean, he did. He put in the time and the effort. So
maybe not as much time as other people
That's
who
what I was about
started
to say.
earlier.
Imagine those who started, who parent put them in at 4
Pee-wee
years
football,
old.
yeah.
And they've been working in every camp. I'm talking about Nike camp, Under Armour camp. They've been everywhere, and they don't make it at all.
Right.
And they've put majority of their life.
Dennis Rodman was 5'9" when he graduated high school.
That's crazy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was 5'9" he graduated high school.
Yeah, he had a growth spurt.
Yeah, he had a growth spurt. He was
He
a
had
janitor.
a growth spurt around that time too.
5'9"?
5'9" to 6'8", 6'9".
Yeah, that's different from
Yeah.
that's probably
He grew
Genesis.
11 or 12 inches after high school.
That's crazy.
So he was a janitor. He was homeless, and then
And short.
And then someone saw him, said, "Come play basketball." So he played in a college. One semester, he flunked out. So he went back to being a janitor, and then a coach from a major university heard about him, said, "Why don't you come try out for us?" So like no basketball until he's 21 years old and a freshman in college. At the age of 21, not 18. 21, his first game in that university, 19 rebounds and 24
He went
points.
to like Southwest Oklahoma.
Something like that, yeah.
Speaking of the right place at the right time.
I was
though.
going to say that
you're right.
at that point you go, it is that. It's right place, right time, right opportunity. And then he just happened to be a super tall human who could develop quickly, and probably his whole background of not having, right? You have to work
You
hard.
have to work hard. Yeah.
He said he knew such little about basketball
homeless.
that he went to his coach after that game. He said, "I hope I did okay. Is that all right? You know, did I give you enough?" 24
And
points
then
and
there's some
19
humility
rebounds.
in the starting. That's amazing.
He don't want to go back to homeless. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, yeah, I'm
Right.
Yeah.
gonna give you everything I got. That's
So
Well,
I heard
that's what
that
Kobe.
is.
I heard Kobe say something in an interview. Kobe Bryant. He said college was harder to win than the NBA. He said because a lot of players were trying to make it in college, so they were fighting for it. But the reason they wanted to make it was because they were poor. They wanted to make some money. The minute they made it to the NBA, they lost the fire. He goes, "It's slim picking. I can beat all these people because none of them have that passion anymore."
Wow.
He said, "No wonder Michael Jordan wins all these championships because nobody else wants it as bad as he does."
not for real.
But you know, it goes back to what Napoleon Hill said, right? He says the formula is burning desire, right? Unwavering faith, relentless pursuit.
Yep.
Right, so you got to want it really, really. We had a conversation with my son Naveed, my oldest, last night, because he came home from soccer practice, and then I'm like, "Okay, but what's your dream?" He goes, "Basketball." Okay, so how much basketball time did you put in? He said, "None, none." And I said, "But you know what? Someone who's passionate about it, you got to pull him out. I'd be out there going, 'Hey, come in, it's bedtime.' You'd be like, 'I got to shoot 10 more. I got to shoot 100 more.'" You know, because you'd want it. It's not work for you anymore. It's what you want. So figure out, is this really
It's more
what
work
you
not
want?
to do it than it is to do it.
Yeah. So and then it was cool this morning. I'm talking to Ramin, our middle boy. He goes, "Dad, we need to go play basketball again because I got to show you my new moves I learned at the basketball camp." Because you guys had that great basketball camp, 2 weeks. And by the way, if you guys have kids that need to go next year, make sure you get out there to that.
100%.
He goes, "I learned so much. They had me do this drill and that drill, and I want to show you what I can do now." So we're going to go out this weekend and play a little bit. We do have one article we were going to touch on, and this is from Science Daily, and the title of it was, and I thought this was really interesting because I thought the answer would be different, but it says weightlifting before basketball practice does not affect shooting accuracy. New research from the University of Kansas. This really is a commercial for Kansas, guys. I mean, we're not getting paid for it, but
we should.
We're hoping somebody
Kansas Jayhawks.
Somebody at the Jayhawks, institution hears this, and maybe they send us like a T-shirt, or something. That'd be.
Do we say we're from Kansas?
I got kids coming up, future scholarships.
That's right.
That's right. Hey, we should set up.
I still have a
scholarship.
mailing address in Kansas. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Grandma's house still exists.
That's right. So new research from University of Kansas could help settle a question among basketball coaches and athletes on when to incorporate weightlifting during practice. In a study published in the journal Frontiers in Sports and Active Living, researchers found that resistance training before basketball practice has minimal to no effect on shooting performance in most cases. So, Coach, what are your thoughts?
I've been around at the University of Kansas.
Yeah.
So they lift before practice, like all the time. And
they lift hard, right?
They
Like
lift hard.
they go to
They
failier,
lift hard.
multiple
They
sets.
lift hard. Yeah. They lift hard, and it does not affect them.
Nice.
It doesn't affect them. And I know just from past experience, from being around in the NBA, so like when my brother, like my senior year in high school, when I really kind of got really, really serious. I mean, I was serious before, but my brother was going into his last year of his contract. So my brother is actually the first $1 million player.
What team was he on?
He was on the Kansas City Kings,
Okay.
New Jersey Nets, and finished with the Boston Celtics.
Okay.
He was the number 2 pick in the 1977 draft.
Wow.
And he's all-time. He's the second all-time leading scorer at University of Houston.
Nice.
But he's the one that kind of implemented me into this is what you want to do. You got to really work. So we would always lift weights. We would run like 10 miles in the morning, go lift weights, and then then we go play like one-on-one skill stuff, and I would play one-on-one with him all day, and then I'd go back in the evening time, and we'd take a rest, go back, and we play like 5-on-5, and then run again. So they would I would see them, we would lift weights and stuff and everything, and then we go do some shooting. So it never affected me, but he used to always tell me but you got to make sure that you, we lifted hard, and upper body, lower body, it'd be upper body one day, lower body one day. And then he said, but the thing is, make sure you always doing some cardio, running some kind of, running, and it doesn't affect your shot. Now, I would think when if you're just a straight bodybuilder, and that you're not doing any type of stretching, none of that kind of stuff, you're just bodybuilding. I can see when some bodybuilders come out and they shoot like that, because I've seen them, and it does affect it.
They seem a little muscle bound.
Yeah, they muscle bound. But it's because I had some things I had wrote down, muscle memory.
Right.
So you got that muscle memory. Just when you first you get done, when you come up from lifting, it won't affect your because you're running up down, you're warming up, the muscle memory first. Cardio training, stretching is important, the flexibility, and also just keeping lean and stuff and everything.
Yeah.
So if anything, the weightlifting enhances it. So I know for me, from experience, I got strong, and and then you get a little sense I think lifting weights and stuff, it gives you a little sense of mental. You're mentally tough, and that's what Michael Jordan used to talk about all the time when he started training using weights and stuff and everything, because the Detroit Pistons used to always just beat up on him.
That's right.
Jordan,
the bad boys.
So once he started kind of lifting and stuff and everything, and I used to always tell some of my players that's when you start lifting, you just make you feel like Superman, because it's you can get into the lane, right, and people just bounce off you. You can just go right to the rim, because you're strong, and it doesn't. So mentally, it makes you kind of feel like, I'm invincible,
right?
And
this concludes part 1 of this podcast episode. Part 2 will continue next Monday, September 2nd. Thank you for listening.